Well, we can now say all aboard for the Calgary Hitmen Playoff Train here. However, we still got some games to play down the stretch here to find out who we are going to play in the first round of the WHL playoffs. And also, we also recognized a distinguished member in the Forever A Hitmen program here. So anyway, stay tuned as it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to another episode of my Calgary Hitmen in 6 here. Here we are in Season 2. Now we're in episode number 11 here, as we'll be talking about games 55 to 60 here. And as I alluded to on a couple things in the opening there, the Calgary Hitmen in this episode did officially clinch a playoff spot. So we can now start planning the Calgary Hitmen Playoff Train, or what route, we are still figuring that out. And we got to honor someone in the Forever A Hitmen program there. So before I get into my notes here, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, following the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders there, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload anything. I mostly do Calgary sports, game recaps, and definitely it just worked out that with the Flames, Roughnecks, and Hitmen here, that all the game recaps all were due around the same time there. So you can follow along how the primary owners, the Calgary Flames, are doing, as well as our lacrosse team, the Calgary Roughnecks, are doing in those separate playlists. I also do personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I share my experiences, let's say on my smartphone, where I'm at a sporting event, let's say a Calgary Hitmen game, or on the road while I'm on holidays there. So if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, I also have my social media links down in the description below there. So as I say, let's bring up my notes here and let's talk about games 55 to 60 here in the 2019-20 WHL regular season for the Calgary Hitmen. And let's continue on their 25th anniversary season here, shall we? So as you recall here, Calgary was starting off this episode continuing on with their BC Division road trip here, as they definitely were playing all the teams on the road in the BC Division there. So game 55, we got to go back to Wednesday, February 19th here, as the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Victoria Royals on the island there at the Save On Foods Memorial Arena. It's an 8:05 puck drop here, as I mentioned, continuing on with the BC Division road trip here and getting closer to officially clinching a playoff spot for the rights to play for the Edge North Cup in the WHL playoffs there. So for this game here, Calgary does open up the scoring from Captain Mark Kaslik just past the 4-minute mark. So Calgary obviously had a 1-0 lead at that point. Then Victoria was awarded a penalty shot past the 15-minute mark, and Victoria actually did score on that penalty shot by Kate Oliver. So that tied the game up at 1-1, and that's how things stood after the first period. It was 1-1 between the Calgary Hitmen and the Victoria Royals here. Second period, Victoria took a lead early just before the 2-minute mark as Gary Hadden scores, and Victoria obviously took a 2-0 lead. And it stayed 2-1 for Victoria going into the third period of this game here. In the third period, Calgary was able to tie it up as Mark Kaslik got his second of the game and 32nd of the season at this point, just before the 4-minute mark, and it stayed 2-2, and it stayed 2-2 the whole way. So as I like to say, this one needed overtime here. I'm going to say Calgary played Victoria for much of the game, but Victoria definitely had strong goaltending by Connor Martin in this game. In overtime here, the Calgary Hitmen had the edge in shots, but did not score. Victoria did not score either here. So as I say, this one needed a shootout here. Now in the shootout here, Victoria was up first as the home team. So first in the round, it was Gary Hayden, and he scores to set the tone here. So the first shooter up for the Calgary Hitmen was Josh broke up, and he scored. So it was 1-1 after the first round of the shootout there. So in the second round, Brandon Cutler for Victoria was up, and he scores for Victoria. So Kyle Olsen for Calgary did also score. So it was 2-2 going into the third round of the shootout here. Third round here was Kate Oliver for Victoria. He missed. So all the stick came down to Carson Fook for the Calgary Hitmen here. However, he missed here, so the shootout continues with a best of one here. So now we're in the fourth round here. It was Philip Schultz for Victoria. He misses. Well, Mark Kaslick missed for Calgary there. So we're off to a fifth round in the shootout here. Carson Miller for Victoria missed, and Riley Stotts missed for Calgary here. So now we're in round 6 of the shootout here. So Aquino Durangs missed for Victoria here. And then ultimately, Holker Weisblad had the game on the line here. So the Calgary Hitmen definitely had their fourth opportunity to end this game and take the win here. And Holker Weisblad actually wins it for Calgary. So Calgary wins this one 3-2 in the sixth round of the shootout here. Calgary also shot Victoria 40-24 overall here, including 5-2 in overtime here. So who led the way for the Calgary Hitmen here? Well, Captain Mark Kaslick, and also Ottawa Senators draft pick from this past draft. He had 2 goals here. It was Jack Nodden who made 22 saves for Calgary here. Well, it was Colin Martin. As I mentioned, he definitely had a strong game here. He made 38 saves for Victoria here, so that Calgary continues on their BC Division road trip here, and definitely is on a good note here. And here we are heading to game 56 here. This will be on Friday, February the 21st here. So Calgary gets off the island and goes back in the mainland there, as they are taking on the Vancouver Giants here at the Langley Event Center. 8:30 puck drop here. All these times are mountain time, by the way. So this is the fourth game of the BC Division road trip here. First period sets the tone for this one. We'll say we had an offensive showdown here in Vancouver here. First, Calgary got the first 3 goals in just over 7.5 minutes here. So Calgary had a 3-0 lead. Kyle Olsen, Mark Kaslick, and Luke Prokop all scored for Calgary. So Calgary had a 3-0 lead going into the first 7 minutes of the first period there. However, Vancouver did get 2 quick goals just over a minute later. First, Eric Florchuk for Vancouver, and then Justin Saudiff. Actually 34 seconds there. So now it was 3-2 for Calgary just before the 9.5 minute mark of the first period here. So this is just the start of the offense in this game here. And it was 3-2 Calgary after the first period here. So that's how things stood. Before moving on to the second period summary, I'd like to highlight here that Jackson Vanderleest definitely took a knee major past the 12-minute mark and got a game misconduct in there. And then with 2 seconds left in the first period here, Calgary and Vancouver seem to have the butter heads even on the junior hockey level here, as Carson Fook for Calgary, one of our top leading goal scorers. He actually is a Vancouver Canucks prospect, so maybe he was wanting to show for the Vancouver fans what the preview is. So Carson Fook and Tristan Nielsen fought for, and Kyle Olsen also took an unsportsmanlike penalty. This all happened with 2 seconds to go in the first period there. So as I say, typical Calgary versus Vancouver game, right? It even happens in junior hockey. So in the second period here, Calgary did get 2 more goals. First is Luke Prokop. This is the forward here, just before the 10-minute mark, and now Orko Weisblad within the final minute. So Calgary actually had a 5-2 lead going into the third period here. So things are looking good for Calgary and Vancouver here. However, third period, Vancouver did mount a comeback, and they actually scored the next 4 goals here. So Vancouver down 5-2 going into the third period, scored the next 4 goals here. Versus Bowen Byram, scores for Vancouver just past the 4.5 minute mark. And Tyler Pereira just before the 10 minute mark. So now it's down to 5-4 for Calgary at the midway point here. And then Vancouver got 2 more goals. Justin Saladith at the 11 minute mark and just before the 16 minute mark. So Justin Saladith picked up the hat trick in this game here just before the 16 minute mark. So now Vancouver is up 6-5 here, which is about 4 minutes ago in the third period here. Calgary was looking for the equalizer, but they weren't successful. So Vancouver took this one 6-5 on the strength of a 4-goal third period there. However, at the end of the game here, more physical stuff here as Mark Kaslick and Carl Olsen for the Calgary Hitmen took rough and penalties, and Bowen Byron and Tristan Nielsen for Vancouver also took rough and penalties, and then Jet Wu, another Vancouver Canuck prospect for Calgary, and Seth Barflow for Vancouver took misconduct all in the final buzzer here. So definitely was an emotional game and lots of offense here, It's typical Calgary-Vancouver hockey game here. So Calgary actually outshot Vancouver 36-32 in this one. Calgary's led by Luke Prokop. He had 2 goals here, and then on the Vancouver side of the puck here, Justin Saladith had the hat trick with 3 goals there. Bowen Byram had a goal, 2 assists, and Tristan Nielsen chipped in with 3 assists there. Also note that Tyler Preverzo and Eric Florchuk each had a goal and assist, and Alex Kinnock and Leipert with 2 assists there. So a lot more multi-point games for the Vancouver Giants there. So when it comes to the goaltending side, it was Jack Minotton again who started. Made 26 saves for Calgary, while it was David Tendick for Vancouver. He made 31 saves there. So that was Game 4 on this BC road trip here. So the next night here, Game 57 on Saturday, February the 22nd here, the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Kamloops Blazers at the Sandman Center, 8 p.m. puck drop here. Last of a 5-game BC Division road trip here. First period, there was actually no scoring to report here, but both teams look evenly matched, but eventually Kamloops took over the play in the rest of the game here, so no scoring after the first period here. Second period, actually Calgary did open up the scoring here. Cale Zimmerman, that's 25 seconds in, and then Luke Procott just before the 6-minute mark, so Calgary had a 2-0 lead at this point here, despite the fact that Kamloops actually was out shooting Calgary at this point here. And for the rest of the game, Kamloops did actually get on the board just before the 12-minute mark as Ryan Hughes makes it 2-1 game, and then actually Calgary led 2-1. After the second period here, also note Jackson Vanderlei, he got in some penalty trouble again as he took a 10-minute misconduct for a cross-checking on Kamloops. And Kamloops actually scored on that power play on that goal that they picked up in the second period there. I'm going to say Kamloops did outshoot Calgary 18-6 just in the second period alone there after an evenly matched first period. Third period, Kamloops pressed back even more, but Calgary was able to get 2 more goals as Orca Weisblad, that was his 18th of the season, just before the 7-minute mark, makes it 3-1 game at that point. And then Logan Stankoven, just before the 10-minute mark, makes it 3-2 for Calgary. At this point, Calgary picks up a couple more goals here. First, there's Riley Stotts, who's actually a Toronto Maple Leafs property at this point right now, past the 13-minute mark. And then the other Riley, as in Riley Schultz, past the 16-minute mark, and Calgary led 5-2, despite Kamloops out shooting Calgary badly here. And then Connor Zary for Kamloops scores just before the 17-minute mark to make it 5-3 for Calgary at this point. And then Kamloops pulling their goalie for the extra attacker with just under 2 minutes to go there as they're down by 2 here, looking for any offense to get back in it. However, it was Kyle Olsen who scores the empty net just past the 18-minute mark to make it 6-3. Kamloops did actually get a goal in the final minute by Dylan Heffler to make it 6-4, and that's how as close as Kamloops got. So Calgary did actually, I felt, steal this one 6-4, and they took 4 out of 5 games on this BC road trip here in the BC division there. But Kamloops definitely outshot Calgary 50-22 as they outshot Calgary 21-5 in the third period there. So definitely when Calgary took a shot, it made sure it counted because we had 2 goals and then the empty netters. So that's 3 out of the 5 shots there. So gives you an idea that Kamloops definitely outplayed us here, but I felt like we stole this one in Kamloops there. So Calgary was led by Luke Rokop and Cale Zimmerman and Okra Wise, but all each had a goal and an assist there. And then Jackson Van Lees actually picked up 3 assists there before having that misconduct penalty. On the Kamloops side of the puck here, as Connor Zary, he had a goal and assist, and Quinn Shimmerman chipped with 2 assists there. And then when it comes to the goaltending, well, Braden Peters definitely was busy. He made 46 saves for Calgary there, while Rice Ramsey made 16 saves for the Kamloops Blazers here. So with this win here, the Calgary Hitmen do clinch a playoff spot. So it's all aboard the Calgary Hitmen Playoff Train here. I remember the marketing department used to use that, and they don't anymore, but for the purposes of my game recap videos, I am going to continue using that theme as the Calgary Hitmen Playoff Train will be going on for a second straight season here. We just need to find out who we ultimately draw here, but that will not be decided for a few more weeks there. So now game 58, this happened on Thursday, February the 27th here. The Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Winnipeg Ice here, and this could potentially be a first round opponent. When I look at the standings here, this was at the Scotiabank Saddledome at 11 a.m. So this is that that TELUS anti-bullying game that usually get a lot of school-age kids come in. And then I would say this is Calgary's first game back home after the 5-game BC Division road trip here. And Calgary did actually open up the scoring as Kyle Olsen just passed the 7-minute mark, and Mark Kashlik as well makes it 2-0 for Calgary just before the 11.5-minute mark here. So Calgary had an early 2-0 lead here for the first half of the first period here. However, Winnipeg did get back on the board in the first period as Michael Maline past the 14.5-minute mark. So Calgary led 2-1, and it was 2-1 Calgary after the first period there. Winnipeg did start off the edgy shots, but Calgary was a better team for most of the game here, as I'll add. Second period, there was no score in the report, so it was still 2-1 for Calgary at this point here. After Winnipeg outshot Calgary 15-10 in the first period there, and then that's where it meant Calgary was playing better afterwards. Usually that sometimes tends to happen, when you get back from a road trip there. And then it said in the second period, Calgary outshot Winnipeg 15-6, but it was still a 2-1 game going into the third period there. Third period, Calgary got an early goal by Carson Fook. It was his 31st goal of the season, 51 seconds into the period, and Calgary led 3-1 at this point. And then Calgary was able to get a late insurance marker by Carl Olsen. Again, and I was mentioned just before the 18.5-minute mark. And Calgary took this one 4-1 in an unusual midweek afternoon game. But as I mentioned, it's mostly school kids go to this game. You get to see a pink there with the pink T-shirts. The anti-bullying campaign that TELUS has pulled off the last couple of years. So I should say most kids probably were happy with the result that we won and we're in the playoffs. So, interesting to see a sea of pink, as I saw the pictures in the video there, and we're used to seeing the sea of red in the Saladome there. Pink is a shade of red. So getting back on track in the game here, Calgary outshot Winnipeg 39-27 overall here. Calgary was led by Carl Olsen. He had 2 goals and an assist there. Brady Peters, he made 26 saves for Calgary, while Liam Hughes, he made 35 saves for the Winnipeg Ice there. So that was game 58. Game 59, this happened on Friday, February 28th here, and we were taking on the Brandon Wheat Kings. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saladome here, and we could also say this could potentially be a first-round opponent as well when I look at the standings here. To continue on with the homestand down the stretch here, actually Brandon did open up the scoring just before the 10-minute mark as Ridley Grigg makes it 1-0 for Brandon, and Brandon actually had a 1-0 lead. After the first period, I should have mentioned that the officials were calling a lot of penalties on both sides in the first period, so there wasn't much 5-on-5 play, and they only have a goal there so far. Second period, Brandon added to their lead as Cole Reiner scored 2 goals in 13 seconds at the 3.5-minute mark. So Brandon, just like that, had a 3-0 lead at this point here. Calgary was able to get one back here as Mark Kaslik's 35th of the season, and actually was a shorthanded goal just past the 9.5-minute mark. So it was 3-1 Brandon at this point, and Brandon had a 3-1 lead after the second period there. Going to the third period, Calgary really pressed back, looking to get back in the game. First, to note that past the 4.5-minute mark, it was Lyndon McCallum took a challenge, came from behind penalty, and Cole Reiner on the same penalty took a misconduct penalty. So Cole Reiner definitely was involved in this game. Calgary did get caught up with too many men just before the 9-minute mark, but on that penalty, actually Calgary scored another shorthanded goal. As was Riley Stotts, he picked up his 21st goal at that point. Just past the 11-minute mark, so it's a 3-2 game for Brandon at this point there. Calgary kept pressing, looking for the equalizer. However, it was Brandon that was able to hold on to a 3-2 win, aided by those 2 quick goals by Cole Reinhardt early in the second period there. I'm going to say Calgary outshot Brandon 37-19 this game, including 14-3 in the third period alone. So definitely, it equalizes out when you have games that you still win and games that you probably should have won but don't. It just eventually evens out, it seems like, at the end of the day. So Brandon was led by Cole Reiner with those 2 quick goals there. Brandon, and then when it comes to the goaltending here, Brady Peters made 16 saves for Calgary, while Yuri Patera made 35 saves for Brandon there. So that was the game 59 here. So the last game on this game recap here, before I'll take a look at the standings here, was game 60. This happened on Sunday, March the 1st here. And we were taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes at home at the Scotiabank Saladome at 4 p.m. puck drop here. Yet another potential first-round opponent here. But however, before the game here, I should mention that this is a special game. Before the game, Calgary Hitmen honored Kelly Kisio as a builder in the Forever Hitmen as a builder there. As Kelly Kisio, he was a part of the 1999-2010 WHL Championship teams between being a general manager and a head coach. He was mostly general manager and a builder at that time there, but he did spend some time coaching here, but we're definitely recognizing all the accomplishments that Kelly Kisio meant to the Calgary Hitmen there. And I say he played in the NHL with the Detroit Red Wings first, the New York Rangers, then he was with the San Jose Sharks when they joined the league, and then he actually played a couple seasons right here in Calgary with the Calgary Flames with over 700 games experience there. He actually started off as a scout with the Calgary Flames before getting hired on as general manager with the Calgary Hitmen there in 1998 there. And keep in mind, it was 1997 when the Calgary Flames bought the Calgary Hitmen there. So that was Kelly Kisio's accomplishments there. And he's actually now a scout with the Vegas Golden Knights there. So it's definitely nice to see he getting honored here, and because he definitely made this a proud franchise. And it's quite amazing to sustain a competitive team for much of his tenure there, considering that you only get junior players for a couple of years there. And then fittingly that we're playing Lethbridge. Brent Kisio is the head coach of the Lethbridge Hurricanes, who is the brother of Kelly Kisio there. So now on to the game here, and usually the home team is at a disadvantage when returning from a road trip. I was going to say not necessarily a road trip or pregame ceremonies here. The other get back from just a road trip or pregame ceremonies here, as the home team usually starts off slow here, and Lethbridge did start off fast as they open up scoring as Chase Wheatcroft scores just past the 12.5 minute mark. So it was 1-0 for Lethbridge, and that's how things stood after the first period there. So Lethbridge had a 1-0 lead here, and Lethbridge definitely has had our number all season here. Second period, Calgary had a better effort overall, but they got into penalty trouble earlier. Jet Wu, he actually took a double minor just past the minute-and-a-half mark, and Lethbridge took advantage of that power play as Lethbridge took a 2-0 lead on Dino Kembitz just before the 5-minute mark. And despite the Hitmen having the edge to play for the rest of the second period, Lethbridge had a 2-0 lead after the second period there. And I also like to throw this nugget in here that the Lethbridge Hurricanes franchise started in Calgary as the Calgary Wranglers there when they first came in 1977 there, and then they moved to Lethbridge in 1987 when you go back to my Corral series content there. Third period, Calgary continued pressing, looking to get back in this one. First, it was Orko Weisblad for Calgary, just past the 1:15 mark of the third period. So it was 2-1 at this point here. Then the 5.5 minute mark, it was Riley Stotts for Calgary, ties it up at 2 with his 25th of the season there. And it looked like Calgary Hitmen was totally back in this game there. However, literally 11 seconds later, after the Riley Stotts goal, was Dino Kembitz again for Lethbridge scores, second the game, and Lethbridge was up 3-2 at this point here. And it stayed 3-2 for Lethbridge most of their third period, and Calgary was looking for the equalizer. However, Calgary could not find the equalizer with the extra tagger late, and Lethbridge wins this one 3-2 and keeps the regular season dominance going there. May be a potential first-round opponent here, and Calgary did not capitalize on any power play opportunities, which is one of the big reasons why Calgary did not win this game. Calgary did outshoot the Lethbridge Hurricanes 33-26 there with a little more power play time. Lethbridge obviously was led by Dino Kembitz, who had 2 goals there. Braden Peters made 23 saves for the Calgary Hitmen, while it was Kara Chetyuk who made 31 saves for Lethbridge here. So where do we stand after 60 games here? Well, Calgary is 34, 24, 4-1, was in 4 overtime losses and 1 shootout loss there. So they have 73 points overall here, which still puts us 4th in the Central Division there, comfortably in the first Eastern Conference wildcard here, but we do have a playoff spot clinched here, so I'll go to hitmanhockey.com here to look at the standings for the whole league here, and I think for the player stats, I'll go over that right at the end of the season there, and we'll also put that in the description here like I did last season when I get there. So let's bear with me as I'll queue up the standings here. So let's start off in the Western Conference here in the U.S. Division. The Everett Silvertips, they're in first place right now. They have 92 points after 60 games here. However, the Portland Winterhawks, they're just a point behind with 91 points in 60 games. And then the Spokane Chiefs are in third place with 79 points in 60 games here. That's the U.S. Division's top 3. Then the BC Division's top 3, it's the Kamloops Blazers. They have 78 points in 58 games. Then the Vancouver Giants have 69 points in 59 games. And the Victoria Royals have 69 points in 61 games. The top 3, that's the top 3 there. The top 3 in the U.S. and the U.S. Division have both clinched. All 6 of those teams have clinched playoff spots. So when it comes to the wild card here, well, the first wild card is the Kelowna Rockets. They have 60 points in 60 games. And then second place, the last wild playoff position, is the Seattle Thunderbirds. They have 53 points in 60 games here, and I think I like Kelowna and Seattle's chances of getting in the playoffs here. Because the Prince George Cougars are the first team outside looking in. They have 42 points in 59 games. They have a game in hand on Seattle, but you're 11 points out here. I think you're running out of running room there. And then the Tri-City Americans are last with 40 points in 59 games here. So I'm liking Kelowna and Seattle to get into the playoffs here. So potential playoff matchup still is the Everett Silvertips would be hosting the Seattle Thunderbirds, and then the Portland Winterhawks will be hosting the Spokane Chiefs there. So all the U.S. teams are still get to play each other in the first round, and then the Canada's Blazers will host the Kelowna Rockets for an Okanagan battle there. And then Vancouver will be hosting the Victoria Royals there. So definitely some interesting divisional rivalry games there. However, let's look at the Western or the Eastern Conference here. Starting off with the Central Division here, well, the Edmonton Oil Kings are in first place with 92 points in 61 games here. Then the Lethbridge Hurricanes are in second place with 81 points in 60 games here. Then the Medicine Hat Tigers are in third place with 77 points in 59 games. So Central Division is definitely a tougher division there. And the top three are obviously all in the playoffs now with the playoff spot clinched. And then the East Division, the Eastern Conference here, the Prince Albert Raiders are in first place with 77 points in 60 games here. And then the Brandon Wheat Kings have 74 points in 61 games. Then the Winnipeg Ice have 69 points in 59 games there. Top three also have clinched the playoff spot here. And then the Eastern Wildcard, well, the first wildcard team is the Calgary Hitmen. They have 73 points in 60 games there, and they have clinched the playoff spots. So there's only one more playoff spot left here, and that is the second wild card. The last playoff spot here is the Saskatoon Blades. Saskatoon Blades, they have 67 points and 59 points there, and I definitely like Saskatoon's chances of making the playoffs here, because the next team outside looking in is the Red Deer Rebels. They have 49 points in 59 games, so Saskatoon definitely has an 18-point lead, and I think if either Red Deer loses a point or Saskatoon picks up a point or wins one more game, they're in the playoffs. So we're definitely likely know who are the 16 teams that are going to be competing in the WHL playoffs here. And then the Regina Pats, 46 points in 59 games. Moose Jaw Warriors, 32 points in 58 games. And the Swift Current Broncos, 24 points in 59 games. So those are Detroit Red Wing numbers there. So to queue up the potential bracket here in the Eastern Conference here, well, they haven't had the best record. They actually will be taking on Saskatoon in the first round in their case. And then Lethbridge will be hosting Medicine Hat there. So the Calgary Hitmen actually will be taking on the Prince Albert Raiders. And we'll start off on the road there. And then the Brandon Wheat Kings will be taking on the Winnipeg Ice there. So I guess the real question is, because Calgary is 4 points out from getting to the top three in the Central Division there, but Medicine Hat has a game in hand here. Where would we be better off? Do we want to get in the top three and play either a Lethbridge or maybe Medicine Hat, depending if standing shift here? It definitely could be tougher opposition. However, less travel. However, if we stay and play the Prince Albert Raiders in the first round there, we'll definitely have more travel there, but we have a little more success against Prince Albert in the regular season here. And my plan here is once we know who we draw in the first round there, just like last year, I'll do a series preview of whoever we play in the first round, and I'll preview the series, and then I'll recap the series after we're and then repeat as necessary, hopefully till the Moron Cup. I can dream, right? So yeah, that's just looking at the standings here. So looking ahead here, well, this is actually going to be the last 6-game episode of the season here, because we're up to game 60 now, and there's 8 more games left in the regular season here. So I decided I'm going to do the next 2 episodes are going to be only 4-game recaps, and then the playoff series preview and recap for the first round there. And then we'll see how long the Calgary Hitmen Playoff Train goes here. So looking ahead here to the next 4 games. So the next episode will be my Calgary Hitmen in 4. So game 67, Tuesday, March the 3rd here. Ooh, the Calgary Hitmen could be potentially playing a first round opponent here, as in the Prince Albert Raiders at the Art Hauser Center, a 6 p.m. puck drop there. So we definitely could be playing them a lot more shortly here in a few weeks. Then Game 62 will be on Wednesday, March the 4th here. The Calgary Hitmen will be in Saskatoon to take on the Saskatoon Blades at the Sasktel Center. 6 p.m. puck drop there. And then Game 63 here, maybe a potential first-round opponent. On Friday, March the 6th here, the Calgary Hitmen will still be on the road here. They'll be taking on the Medicine Tigers at the Kamloops Center at a 7:30 puck drop here. And then Game 64, Calgary Hitmen comes back home here. On Saturday, March 7th here, the Calgary Hitmen will be taking on the Spokane Chiefs here. Scotiabank Saddledome at 7 p.m. there. So yeah, this is my Calgary Hitmen in 6, recapping games 55 to 60 there. So I was just going to have to say, well, question asked for you is, what route do you think the Calgary Hitmen will be better off? Where do you want the Calgary Hitmen playoff train to go? Do we want to stay in Alberta, where we have had tougher opponents to play, but we'll have a better travel schedule? Or do we want to take our chances to play either a team in Saskatchewan or Manitoba there? And we've had better luck against those teams. I'd say Winnipeg and Prince Albert. But the travel will definitely be a lot more. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other there, but it'll just be a question to ask there. So as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, Home to Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders there, just make sure you hit like, subscribe to follow along there, hit that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload anything. I also do Calgary sports, Calgary game recaps, Calgary stories, or anything that I feel is big enough to make a video on anything in sports there. I also do personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and share my experiences. Let's say I'm on the road or at a sporting event, and maybe something else just to keep it interesting in my channel there. So if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you like, subscribe, and I also have my social media links in the description below there. So I have many avenues where you can follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. So as I say here, let's go Hitmen, and I'll see you in the next video here.